Hello and welcome. This is Faceless Opinion, rolling a nat 1 on life. Welcome you back to another video. So recently I've been doing a lot of research for a video I've been trying to work on, but I'm going to have to put that on pause because something's been circulating the internet as of late and it caught my eye. And it's titled the 44 Rules of D&D, and as someone who's a big D&D fan, as I both DM'd and played, I was curious about this. And oh boy, a lot of these rules are definitely quite interesting. I can see why it's been circulating around online lately. So I decided this would be a fun little thing we could do. Look at all these rules, talk and discuss, and see how unhinged and chaotic they can be, because a good chunk of them are, because I kind of read a good chunk of them beforehand. So yeah, let's see what happens here. Alright, so was originally a Reddit post titled "My DM laid out the 44 rules of D&D." This is not available on Reddit anymore. It got deleted. I don't know why. And I had to find screenshots of it. So I'm going to read what it has stated here. So basically, the title's called "My DM laid out the 44 rules of D&D." And there's a brief little description before it starts listing the rules. So let's see what it has. My DM just posted this after a hiatus. Enjoy. I'll just put this crap show out now that's going to change before anyone goes through with anything. So that's an interesting little tidbit, but let's see how it goes. Now, honestly, I read the first 16 rules beforehand, and that's what caught my eye. So a lot of these aren't anything new, but I'm going to read a lot of them, and we can discuss each rule in, I guess, a little bit more detail as we go on. And then later on, when I go over the actual newer stuff, I'm going to be somewhat surprised by it. So let's see how this goes. Number 1, I'm timing turns. I don't give a frick if it's unfair in your opinion, because your spells are hard or you don't know what square to move to. You get 1 minute to know all the actions you want to make, or I skip your turn. Okay, that's a little intense. I mean, I can understand people taking a lot of times with their turns, and it can be a bit irksome. Like, I'm not against the idea of time turns, but like, there's a lot of things you gotta keep in mind for a lot of different stuff. So a bit heavy-handed on that regard, because take someone like me, for example. I've never played magic casters because that's a lot of stuff I go in that gets complicated and all that. So if I choose to do that, I would kind of want to take my time to figure stuff out, and I'm very strategic by nature. So yeah, a bit, now that I think about it more heavily, like, nah, maybe not time turns isn't a good thing. Not for 1 minute anyways, maybe 3 or 4, but not 1. Number 2, if you want harder fights, bring a second character sheet and expect to twiddle your thumbs when you die. I'm not going to baby anyone. Wow, you're a bit of an a-hole, don't you think? I mean, seriously, if you're going heavy-handed and antagonistic like that, I mean, seriously, like, I can understand wanting a challenge, but like, this is like needlessly aggressive, I want to say. Number 3, if you call me or my rules unfair, I get up and go home. And if you gotta ride with me, you can find your way back and suck it up. Okay, you are a major a-hole. I mean, seriously, I mean, I feel like we can raise questions about certain stuff. Like, I won't go into the aspect of like rules being unfair. Maybe like maybe the pass or fail stuff for it, what the threshold is, depending on certain stuff. Maybe that capacity, but I mean, seriously, what's your deal? Number 4, I'm going to take your character's loot away as regularly as you want to give it out. Rule 3 will apply here. Alright, so if we criticize you, you take away all of our cool stuff. Okay, you're definitely an a-hole. I mean, what the hell? If you're going to take away our stuff as regularly as you give it, what's the point of giving us the stuff in general? Dickhead. Number 5, if you don't act out any of your persuasion or intimidation or any other social text, you fail before you even roll. You fail immediately because you aren't even trying, and you're making the game lame for everyone. Well, some people aren't really good at role play though. Like, I'm decent at it. I'm not the best, but I mean, if you attempt to do it, I'm not expecting it to be the greatest. I feel like that's okay, but like, there's been other instances where we just have done base rolls and just went from there. So I guess it depends on each person, on how you view it. I don't hate this rule, but I don't like it either. Sorry if my voice sounds all grungly. I need to drink some water, and I woke up not that long ago, so if I'm all over the place, I'm all over the place. This is more of a, I don't want to say spur of the moment video, but it's a spur of the moment video. Let's not kid ourselves. Alright, number 6. If you don't pick up cues for side quests, that's not my problem. Get over yourself. It's not a video game. It's a role-playing, pen and paper-based game with miniatures. I'm not holding your hand if you choose not to pursue crap. Well, maybe you should make the hints very subtle and obvious. That sounds like a skill issue in all honesty. Number 7. If you move to a square in combat, there's no takebacks. Well then, I hope you're describing the terrain very, very accurately. Though this kind of reminds me of a story back when I was first doing early tabletop stuff. Not D&D, mind you, but Pathfinder, and we were fighting in this room that had a lot of magma and lava everywhere, and like my character had like these boots of like water walking where I was able to walk on water, or in this case, the lava. But my DM kind of forgot that like, oh, it's not a permanent thing that lasts turns on end, like you'll sink down after a little bit. And he gave me an opportunity to relocate to a place where I wouldn't fall, take damage, and die, so good on him for that capacity. So you really need to be very mindful of a lot of the stuff and be willing to make accommodations if you make a mistake on your part. Alright, did number 7. Alright, number 8. If you tell every single person what you're doing before you do it, you don't frickin' roll dice and then say you're casting Fireball. You tell us all. I mean, you always need to tell your DM what you're planning on doing beforehand in every circumstance whatsoever, because I'm one of those type of people, like, if you want to roll something, you have to let me know ahead of time, and I'm going to be able to determine if I want to allow that or not. So, I don't believe that's unreasonable. I do believe you need to tell people what you plan to do. So, I guess the first sensible rule we've encountered, actually, let me get a list out, and I'm going to count every sensible rule we get. Right now, we are currently at 1 sensible/reasonable rule. Number 9. I will give out exhaustion more frequently. If you argue, go home, or you can actually fight me over it and you can DM yourself. Okay, wow. You know what? I don't know what this guy looks like, and I'm not talking about the poster who posted this, because he posted this there, because the way it comes off like he's posting it because his DM did this, but if a DM actually told me that, I'd straight up smack him right across the face. I mean, seriously. What the hell is your problem? You're so freaking antagonistic. Who hurt you? Number 10. Every snide comment you make to an NPC will be remembered and paid back in triplicate. You all seem to believe there is little consequence. Well, don't make NPCs that are legitimate dickheads then, because if somebody's a dickhead, I'm going to make a snide comment about it. Because 10 to 1, I think we can all agree that there's probably 1 or 2 NPCs that, like, we kind of want to smack outright the head, but oh, they're going to remember what we said because this is like a freaking Telltale game. Yeah, right. Alright, where am I now? Number 11. You will not be given a mega dungeon every session. A temple is not the size of a small city, neither is a cave. This crap will happen when it is natural and organic. Go play some roguelike if you want that. I actually kind of understand the sentiment behind it. I don't like the phrasing of it because, yet again, the antagonism is just dripping and oozing everywhere, but like, not every dungeon needs to be big and huge, so sensible, just could have been phrased better. Alright, number 12. The travel portion is done. You want to travel, content's doing literally whatever you want, whenever you want, go play World of Warcraft or play D&D with ChatGPT. Well, that just sounds like you're not very creative with travel sessions, because with a lot of campaigns that I've done, most of the travel sessions are probably the best parts in all honesty, because that's where you get all the wacky hijinks. So, yet again, skill issue for you, because I personally love travel sections, though I can understand maybe skipping certain aspects of it if you're traveling on boat for like a month and like you can't do something interesting every single day, but like, again, skill issue for you. 13. If you are late with no good reason, I'm going to have your character's hit points for the entire session. You know what? Go fuck yourself. I'm trying to be very mindful of my language because this post has a lot of foul language and YouTube is very, very finicky about language. But like, if I'm gonna read stuff like that, I'm just gonna be really aggressive about it. I mean, seriously, what the hell's this person's problem? Number 14. If you don't show up for no good reason, and that will be determined by me alone if no one else has the guts to say crap for fear of upsetting one another, the first time you'll find yourself losing either a whole level or up to 3 major items of your own. The second time you do it in a row, you'll be removed from the chat and the group full stop. I have no freaking time for people who not show up. I would not play with you whatsoever. I would not let you at my table if I was DMing. I would not be at your table if you were my DM. This goes hand in hand with Rule 13. Go fuck yourself. Number 15. If you get too stoned or drunk to play, I will go home without warning. Your warning is here. Actually, somewhat sensible to an extent because I don't have an issue if you want to drink a little bit or indulge in certain stuff, but like, we're there to play the game. We want to have fun. If you're being rowdy and rambunctious, like, that does kind of kill the mood, so I'll give that a sensible mark, so there we go. Number 16. If you get up for bong or smoke or whatever breaks every 10 minutes, I will simply pack up and go home. I'm sick of waiting for every bloke to be at the table. That just sounds like Rule 15, though. Why is this a separate rule in general? Besides, anyway, who's going up for a smoke break every 10 minutes? Maybe I can understand taking a 10-minute break for a smoke break. Granted, I don't smoke, but, like, I can understand that. But, like, who's doing that? That's more of an issue of the players doing it, if anything. Alright, that's all the first 16 that I've read. So, everything moving forward is going to be new territory that I have no idea about. So, let's see what happens. Rule 17. Guidance, divination spells, owls, and whatever spells I decide are too freaking stupid are banned. Outright. No more freaking guidance. Well, I'm not a spellcaster, so I don't exactly know what guidance is. Nor do I know the true extent of a lot of divination spells. Because like I said, I don't play spellcasters. I mainly play, big strong boys with big swords and weapons. To give you an idea of what type of player I am. Though sometimes I do some specialty stuff, but like, never magic outright. But what's the issue with owls? Like, I don't know. I feel like I need to know more about magic, but like, what's the issue with guidance? Yeah, again, I feel like that's an issue that you're not incorporating for. That shows your skill level as a DM if you can't incorporate stuff like that. Like, if it's one thing if say no homebrewed magic, I would understand a rule like that. I have a rule like that from personal experience, but that's a story for another day. But like, what's the issue with guidance and divination spells? Or owls? I mean, the owl thing just confuses me so much. And why are we qualifying stuff as stupid? I mean, this one's very vague. 18. You get one chance at a skill check. If you F up, your party doesn't get their chance to do the same check. Think carefully who's good at what. I agree and disagree to an extent. Like, if it's like a big social interaction thing and someone tries to persuade someone to do something and they fail horribly, in circumstances like that, I can kind of understand. Maybe not letting the party attempt again, but like other stuff like maybe lock picking or perception or stuff like that, I feel like you should be allowed to either let everyone do it or maybe give them another chance to do it, depending on how bad they messed up. I think that's a circumstance by circumstance type thing, so I disagree with this one. 19. Discussion of metagame details in game will result in instant damage to your character. I don't like metagaming in any capacity. It's not a terrible rule, but I don't know where I feel on it. I'm not going to mark it as sensible. I feel like that should be a obvious, like, don't metagame, because that kind of ruins the fun of literally everything. So, let's move on. Rule 20. Rules lawyering fellow players is encouraged. Actuallying me will just result in me telling you to frick off. Oh, so doing it to other players is fine, but to you, when you make a mistake, oh no, I'm perfect, I'm flawed, man. You're such a narcissistic asshat. Rule 21. If you roll your dice within view of two players who aren't your standard, you roll them neatly and you roll them on the table. Failing to do these 3 things will auto-fail whatever roll you did. Arguing that you actually rolled validly when you clearly didn't is an automatic critical fail. I think the rules just always make sure you're rolling your stuff on the table. Like I have certain rules, like if you roll stuff on the table, make sure it's like clear and like make sure nothing hits it. And if it automatically falls off the table and lands on the floor, I just make you re-roll it automatically, unless you explicitly state, hey, I'm gonna roll on the floor. So I think just be very mindful of where and how you're rolling. Rule 22. Instant death traps and mechanics are coming into place. If you call these things unfair moving forward, I will laugh at you and tell you to frick off and cry some more. Okay, you are a major fucking asshole. I mean, seriously, instant death traps? Like, unless it's like a 500-foot pit with spikes at the bottom, there should be no instant death traps in any capacity. Like, in very, very few circumstances. And like, oh god, your antagonism is just grating. Seriously, I feel like I want to go over there, meet you in person, and make you cry some more. Number 23. I will not give you random magical items and vendors will not stock them. They are meant to be rare and hard to acquire. I actually agree with this one. Magic items, depending on what type of world you're going with, shouldn't be easily attainable at early levels. Like for me, like I always like to give cool magical stuff, like maybe after every cool boss fight here or then, or have them at vendors but have them be overpriced. That's usually how I like to do it, but actually kind of sensible to an extent. I don't have any issues with it. Number 24. Random encounters in the form of random dragons or strange, mysterious road trader or band of goblin prostitutes isn't going to happen. Go play Baldur's Gate 3. Band of goblin prostitutes sounds oddly specific. Like, I can understand maybe not encountering a dragon randomly, or that's understandable, but like, no mysterious road traders? I'm very curious about the goblin prostitutes. But like, what is going on? What is all this stuff? I feel like this is very oddly specific in very certain instances. No issues, but no support either. Just greatly confused. Number 25. I don't give two flips what Reddit said about X or Y ruling. Well, it's Reddit, so why do you want to listen to that? I mean, though, if you put this on Reddit and people are telling you you're kind of crappy for all the stuff that you're doing in your campaign, well, I think Reddit might have a point in certain capacities, but like I said, why would you care about what Reddit's saying? I'm not marking this as sensible. Alright, number 26. I actually give less of a flip about what your mate's D&D group did. I mean, if you're a crappy DM, I feel like I'm gonna brag about other stuff, maybe. I don't know. This is kind of like one of those like bitching and moaning type things. Maybe you're just self-conscious because you're a crap DM and you know it and your friends are having fun elsewhere. Number 27. Saying anything to me about other players not liking me or doing X or Y without them saying it directly to me will result in kicking you out of the group. Don't use someone else to push your agenda. Fine, I'll talk to you straight up. I think you're shit. Number 28. You're not to sit down and have a 2-hour discussion about what Samson from Bundora Secondary did 3 weeks ago when you come to play. Take the 15 to 20 minutes I use to set up and review my notes to talk to each other, then sit down and play. What the hell's Bundora? I feel like this is oddly specific in certain capacities. Like, granted, I'm not going to spend 15 to 20 minutes to review notes because I don't really take notes. If it's something logistically, like, very, very important, I will remember it. But, like, I know there's other people who probably take notes in that capacity as well. And that's their own prerogative. I'm not against that in any capacity. But, like, this one's just more, like, confused. Like, I feel like there's more going on here. I don't know the context for it. Number 29. Saying crap like, guys, come on, we're not here to have fun. We're here to play D&D. This is serious business, is rude and dismissive of how much work I put into this. I'll simply go home if I hear this crap. Like, that's just them trying to segue stuff over. Like, you're getting butthurt about a lot of stuff. Like, I understand a lot of work that DMs put into their stuff. I know, because I used to DM, so I understand that stuff. But, like, come on. They're just trying to help you out because there are certain instances where players can get off track and, like, do a lot of dumb stuff and not doing stuff. And, like, and I've been on record doing stuff, like, saying this, like, guys, let's focus up and play D&D. So I think you're a bit out of line. They're just trying to help you. So calm the frick down. Number 30. Don't frickin' order food randomly. We'll eat together at a specific time or not at all. I don't want food crap all over my things. I mean, I kind of agree with this one. Like, if we made plans to eat after or we're going to eat before we play, that's kind of fine. But I don't have an issue with people wanting to eat a snack during. But I do understand not wanting to get food all over my things. Granted, I don't have figures or like those big blinder things that protect me from stuff, but like, I wouldn't want it on like my books or my character sheets, stuff like that. So, reasonable, but I'm not going to mark it as one of the sensible ones. 31. No food or drinks near any of my D&D gear. If you wreck something, you can pay for it. I let one person trash my DM screen once and I never had it replaced by them. In fact, I had that person attempt to gaslight me into believing they didn't wreck my crap at all. I'm not stupid. You're an adult. Accept the responsibility. That's a lot to process. So basically it's in conjunction with Rule 30 a little bit. And I think I already made the comment just like, I can understand not wanting to have food or drinks near my specific items. I think that's sensible. And the fact that somebody broke your stuff and didn't reimburse you for it is very scummy on their part. So a lot of that is sensible. But the one thing that kind of like just is so outlandish is like, I'm not stupid. You're an adult. Accept responsibility. Yet you're the one giving this like ultimatum-esque rules list of like crazy nonsense. I mean, this is kind of a little stupid if we're being real honest. But nonetheless, I will mark this as a sensible rule. Like, don't make a mess of your DM stuff. That's just really freaking rude. Alright, Rule 32. Arguments between party members outside of roleplay will be resolved by me giving the definitive ruling. If you don't like it, frick off back home. Actually, agree slash disagree to an extent. Like, I can understand, like, we need, if the DM needs to step in and, like, make the definitive ruling to, like, progress stuff forward, but I always kind of like to let the party members kind of resolve their issues before, if I need to get involved. You know what I mean? Rule 33. I don't give a frick what they did in Critical Role or did in Critical Role, tongue twisters, did in Critical Role, or what that one guy on Reddit said. If you think that it's all make-believe, so you can do what you want, the world I run rucks on internal rulings and lore I created specifically for it. I actually agree with this 100%. Now, I've never watched Critical Role in any capacity, nor do I have the interest to, because I don't want to watch people play D&D. I want to play it, and I'm not going to listen to Reddit for certain stuff. And I do believe the DM has the control aspect on how they want to do their game, because they're the one making all that stuff, so they do have that right to determine their rulings and rules and lore in that capacity. Rule 34. Every single person in this chat is having debuffs applied to their characters that should have occurred a long time ago. This will be specific to characters. What the hell? Like, I can understand before a campaign begins and, like, you make a agreement just like, hey, I'll debuff myself if I can get a cool, thing added to me. Like, you get a strength and a negative, but, like, seriously, like, what the hell? You're retroactively going back and punishing people for what? What the hell is your malfunction, dude? Rule 35. If you don't bring your sheet, you don't play. Well, normally in a lot of stuff like that, like, at least in a lot of times that I've played, like, I'm the one, or the DM's the one who usually holds on to the sheets, unless we're doing online digital sheets, so I feel like that's kind of a moot point. Number 36. If you don't bring dice, borrow some. Well, that's just sensible. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's what I did when I was first learning D&D. I was borrowing my DM's many dice sets, so sensible rule, that's fine. You always borrow dice. Rule 37. When we play D&D, I'm not your friend. That doesn't mean you treat me like an enemy during the game. It means I'm no longer being nice. I mean, I can understand not wanting to be super friendly and not wanting to give them everything, but I'm not going to be outwardly antagonistic. And it's very weird. Like, I'm not your friend, but you don't get to treat me like the enemy. Just like, that's very confusing. It's giving me whiplash a little bit. My guy, you're confusing me. Rule 38. If you treat me poorly in any way, shape, or form, after or during or before the game due to something that happened in the game, you're out. If you cannot separate a game from reality, I think you are a freaking moron and I have little time to deal with that energy. Well, I think you're a moron and I have little energy to deal with you. I mean, seriously. Like, I can understand people getting heated about certain stuff, and sometimes it might be merited to an extent if it's like a very unpopular ruling or decision. But then there's other instances like, this guy's very thin-skinned. I think he has very paper thin skin and glass bones, like that dude from SpongeBob. Like, every morning I break my arms, every night I break my legs, and my hard axe put me to sleep. He reminds me of this guy, in all honesty. Rule 39. You will submit your spell list daily in-game. If you do not give me a spell list each day in-game, you will not be allowed to cast a single spell or cantrip in combat. I do not trust you guys to not use this against me. I can sort of understand this to an extent, like to make sure your spell list is always on track and stuff, but correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the spell stuff different for each spellcaster class? Like I said, I'm not expert when it comes to magic and all that capacity, because when I look at all that stuff, I get very confused, but like, seriously, to basically say you're not allowed to cast magic or cantrips in any capacity, I mean, that's kind of messed up to a little bit. Like, I understand, like, making them, like, accountable for what they can or can't do, but, like, that's a bit heavy-handed. Rule 40. If you do not mark off spell slots or say something like, I remember what I'm at, as a way to justify it, I will simply fail your spell, deal half your health and damage to you, and say you have no spells for the rest of the day. Alright, so that's just Rule 39 continuation. You're still an asshole. Congratulations. Rule 41. If you break literally anything, you can buy a replacement that day or not attend till you do. I mean, what are they breaking, though? Like, that's the thing. Like, I feel like if you're a decent person, like, if you break something, like, you should reimburse it, unless the person's saying, like, no, it's fine, or something like that. But, like, not sensible, but kind of, like, common sense, common courtesy, stuff like that. 42. If you complain about the choice of music, I fully expect you to bring the whole playlist the next session or shut the frick up. I mean, I don't really play D&D with music that often, and if I do, it's very momentary. To be honest, I kind of find the music distracting a little bit. I'm one of those people, like, the only time I put music on is, like, if it's, like, a boss fight, and maybe if that's for, like, 2 minutes, and that's it. I don't know, I never felt the need or appeal to do with music. Not that I'm against it, but not really for it. But, like, seriously, if they're expecting new music, maybe you need to mix it up. Maybe you're doing the same old beat that you've been playing for the past 3 years. Who knows? I'd like some diversity if we're talking about some music, in all honesty. Number 43. I cannot stress enough how little I care about how you feel about my rulings from now on. Well, aren't you the precious little princess, aren't you? Wow, dickhead. Oh, and Rule 44. I'm never just threatening you. I'm promising you. I stand by my dickhead comment. You dickhead. And that should do it. That is every single rule on this list. Out of the 44 rules that we went over, I'd say maybe 7 of them were sensible. Good God, this was like the mad ramblings of a mad scientist or something like that. I mean, seriously, this dude is unhinged. Now, granted, I don't know the full context for it. I'll play devil's advocate a little bit, because, like, sometimes people in a D&D party can act stupid. And, like I said, I don't know the context for some of these rules that made me very confused. But, like, maybe something happened. Maybe there's legitimate grievances. Like, for example, earlier when I mentioned, like, I don't like homebrewed magic. I have a legitimate grievance that happened to me a while ago for that. So, it depends on the context for some stuff. But other stuff, just like, this list was just full of antagonism. Like, the disdain on display was so extreme, so heavy-handed. Good God, the malice. Like, I could feel it seeping into my soul a little bit. But anyhow, I thought this was an interesting little read. Something a little fun. I don't get to talk about D&D stuff and TTRPG stuff that much in general, because, like, as much as I like to do it, like, I don't know. Are you guys interested in stuff like that you want me to talk about a little bit more from time to time? Like, maybe talk about some personal D&D and Pathfinder stories that happened, or maybe talk about classes, stuff like that. I don't know. Is that something you'd be interested in? Let me know about that. Anyhow, I guess I should probably wrap this up. This isn't exactly a proper scripted outro, so let me see if I can remember how I phrase my stuff. So, basically, I hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment down below what your thoughts on certain things, like, do you believe these rules were sensible? Did this DM have a point, or is he just a psychopath? Let me know down below, as well as if you want me to talk more D&D and RPG stuff. Like I said, I tell you, this outro is just all over the place. It's early in the morning for me. Anyhow, if you liked the video, like and subscribe. Until next time, I will catch you all on the flip side.